All right. I'm going to script this new card that was revealed a couple days ago. It's a relatively easy effect, so it shouldn't take that long. It's probably gonna be a small stream, but it's fine. So let's read it real quick. Send one reptile master from your graveyard. Then if you have 5 or more reptile masters with different names in your graveyard, you can special one reptile master from your graveyard. You can only activate one Snake Leader of the Abyss per turn. So this card is pretty much Foolish Burial and Master Ball. Like 99% of the script is gonna be these two cards. We're just gonna copy paste from this, and then arrange them in a specific way, and add in a couple of small details, and we should be golden. So let's do the first part, the Foolish Burial effect. This is straight up going to be a copy from Foolish Burial. Like, I'm just gonna do this. Boom. And then we need to change a couple of things. First of all, it needs to send a reptile specifically, not any monster. So we're going to add this check here, is raise reptile. This is how you check monster types. And this is the filter that is being used to check if there's a card matching the filter in the deck for the activation check. And then when the card resolves, which is the operation here, it uses the same filter again. So you only just need to make this change. The other difference from Foolish Burial is that you can only activate this once per turn, whereas Foolish Burial does not have this restriction. So we're going to borrow this from this card, just because we can copy paste this way faster. The count limit. So this part makes it so you can only use this effect once per turn, and you need to add this code oath as a third parameter. This makes it so you can only activate one per turn. There's a slight difference in the rulings between you can only use and you can only activate, and that's why this exists. Okay, so we already have our Foolish Burial for reptiles. It's that quick. Now we need to do the special summon part. Now first of all, we need to add the category here. Category special summon, because this is an effect that can special summon, so it needs the category. This is basically what stuff like what's it called? Sudden warning and whatnot. We'll check this to see if is this an effect that special summons? That's what categories are used for. And then okay, so the thing is, with the special summon, it is optional. You can special summon. It's not mandatory to special summon. So we don't need to check whether you can, in the target function, which is for the activation legality basically, we don't need to check if you can special summon here. We're only going to do the check when the effect resolves, because it's optional. You can always just choose to not special summon, or even if you cannot special summon, you can still activate the card, and it's perfectly legal. So everything we're going to do is going to be happening inside this function, which is the operation, which is basically what happens when the effect resolves. So, alright, so let's see. First you select the card, yada yada yada, okay. So let's take this and add it over here. And then we need to, right, because it says send to the graveyard then blah blah blah, in order to go past the then, we need to successfully do the part about the graveyard. So we need to check that the card actually ends up in the graveyard, which is pretty simple to do. Get operated group is location, location grave. This returns the group that an action was just performed onto it, which is this. The action was performed by send to grave. So get operated group is the group that was affected by send to grave, basically. I forget we need to do get first because this is a group. So we get this group, we get the card, the first card in the group, there's only one card, we know that, and we check if its location is in the graveyard. The point is, if there is something like Macrocosmos on the field, the monster is gonna end up being banished. So because it did not go to the graveyard, you don't go past the then here. So that's what this check is for. Basically that's what this does actually. It's only for stuff like Microcosmos or what's the other card? The Herald Synchro has an effect similar to Microcosmos. Anyway, so right, so if we send it to the graveyard and it actually ends up in the graveyard, now we have in here we have to perform all the checks for the actual special summon part. Right, so first of all we need to check if we have 5 or more reptiles with different names. Yeah, so let's make a group which is going to be let's call it SG, I suppose. It doesn't really matter. Get matching group, and here we need to get all the reptiles in our graveyard. So we're going to do, we only need the race, the isRace function, so we don't need to use a filter for this. TP location grave, so it's our graveyard, and the parameter is going to be race reptile, because we need to check this race, whether they're reptile type basically. So now SG has all the reptiles in our graveyard, and we need to check whether there are 5 or more with different names. So the way to do that, oops, lowercase, let's make another parameter variable and do get class count card get code. So what this does is it checks this group based on the function you give it, and it returns the number of cards in this group with different values in regards to this function. So getCode is the function that returns this, the card ID, which is basically the card name. It's a unique number, that's the card's name. You don't actually, in scripts, you don't actually ever use the card's name itself, you just check the ID. It's the same thing basically. It's just a number, so it makes way more sense to check the number in the code. So now city is a number of different named reptiles in our graveyard. So in order to proceed with a special summon, first of all, this needs to be equal or higher to than 5. Yes, you have much better. Yeah, okay. And then we also need to check that we have room. Now it could be very easy if we can just copy paste this part from here for Monster Reborn, save some time. This checks your monster zone and returns and checks if you have at least one available main monster zone, because obviously you cannot start summoning if all your main monsters are full. So if you have the condition the effect is asking for and you have room, and now we need to check that you have a reptile that you can actually special summon. So is existing matching card, there we go, we already have it. Now for this, we're going to need a filter. We're going to need to create a new filter. I'm gonna name it SP filter, and we're gonna actually make the filter in a minute. Oops, that's a comma. Location grave 0, and yeah, we just need 1 to be there, nil. We're not excluding anything, and then I already know I'm gonna need to pass these 2 parameters to the filter. So let's make this a little bit prettier. And there's gonna be 1 more, and here is gonna be the because it's optional, you can special summon. We need to ask the player if they actually want to special summon or not, because the player can always choose to not special summon. It's perfectly valid, and it's gonna happen with this function, select yes no. So TP is the player is gonna be asked, which is TP stands for triggering player, so the player that's activating this effect, basically, which in this case is the player that's activating this card. Common misconception: this does not mean turn player. A lot of people make this mistake early on. It stands for triggering player, so it's the player that's activating the effect, which is obviously relevant when you're activating an effect on the opponent's turn. It's still you, so it's not the opponent. And then description is going to be the string. Let me get the function string ID. Actually, it should be. I should add this here as well. Wait, set description. ID and 0. This is just description of the effect. It's not super important, but this one is going to be number 1. The next one I've already added to the CDB, so to the database, so it should be fine. We're gonna see it in game though. And then inside this if is where we're gonna do this whole selection process for the special summon and whatnot. Right, so we need to make the filter. Function as SP filter CETP. So this is going to check for reptile monsters that can be special summoned. You can it's for this part. You can special summon reptile monster from your graveyard. So it needs to be a monster. It needs to be a reptile. I can copy it from this other filter. And it needs to be special summonable, which we can check here. Just copy this from Monster Reborn, and boom, we're done. The reason we need E and TP here is the effect TP is the triggering player, like I said earlier, is because this function needs the E and TP parameters to make a proper check whether you can actually special summon. Basically checks, can this player special summon this card because of this effect? Because there are some effects that will be able to special summon, other effects would not be able to special summon due to restrictions, etc, conditions. The game is complicated. It is a complicated game. So anyway, we have the filter already. So this should be fine here. Alright, so if all of these are true, we're going to prompt the player to select. Okay, I can basically copy this. We're going to prompt the player to select what to special summon. Maybe I should name this not SG, so this is SG for summon group. This is going to be... let's see, RG, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Reptile group. Right, so SG, and now not select target, of course. we're selecting during the resolution, so this does not target with, master bond targets what you want to summon, that's why it's using select target here. This is going to be select matching card, which is the equivalent of select target, but it doesn't actually target. SP filter is the name of our filter here. We can only summon from our own graveyard, so we need to put this at 0. Min and max are going to be 1. Nil ATP, seems fine. And then okay, yeah. If something was selected, we're going to perform the special summon. We're just going to copy this line from Master Bone again and change this to SG. Face up. There's no specific position, so that's fine. Okay. I'm not saying anything else that needs to be done here. So now reptile from your deck to the graveyard, then you should have 5 more reptiles with different names in your graveyard. Okay, let's count. You can spend 1 reptile monster from your graveyard, you can only activate 1 per turn. Okay. This looks fine. So we're going to test it real quick, just to make sure that it's fine. I already prepared this deck, which makes it really easy to test. I just need to not shuffle. And I can start with this. Basically, these Snake Rain can set this up. So if I activate it now, of course I should not be able to special summon anything. I can mill in with my reptiles. Boop, and we're done. That's this get effect. And then right, so if I activate Snake Rain first, I can fill up my graveyard. These are all different names, 4 reptiles with different names. So if I mill this one, another one with different name, now I'm gonna have 5, and it's asking me, special summon reptiles from your graveyard, yes. And I'm selecting whatever I want, and I'm special summoning it, and it triggers some special summon. It's got special summoned. You can say, oh, okay, that's cute. Now, the last thing to try is if I have a lot of reptiles in my graveyard, but not enough with different names. That's why I put 2 of these, so I can do this. So I have these 4 with different names. But if I mill this guy, I can special summon. It's what I just tested earlier. If I mill this guy, I should not be able to special summon. And boom. That's correct. Because we had these 3, and then 2 copies of this, so we don't have 5 with different names. Now, there's one small detail that I forgot, and I just realized. Because it says, send 1 reptile, then blah blah blah, you can special summon. Sending and special summoning do not happen at the same time. So what we need to do is, after all the checks are performed and the player selects yes on the special summon prompt, we need to add dual break effect. This is what makes the sending part, which is here, and the special summon part, to be considered at happening at the same at different times. If you don't put this here, everything is considered happening at the same time. Obviously, in terms of how code works, it happens sequentially in order. it does this first, and then this, and then this, and then this. But in terms of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And timing, everything is considered to happen at the same time. So you need this to break the timing, so that sending and special summoning don't happen at the same time. There's no... I don't have a relevant scenario for that one. But if there's something that triggers when a card is sent to the graveyard and you special summon, it's not gonna trigger. That's the basic idea of do A then do B. A and B don't happen at the same time. Okay. I think that's it. Let me do one final pass. Snake Lily, description, to grave and special summon. Type activate, that's all copy paste from Foolish Braille, so it's fine. That's the hard once per turn. Target activates. Text for Race Reptile in the filter. Category to Grave deck. This is what makes it so Ash Blossom can negate it, by the way. Oh, let me... actually... Since I mentioned that Ash Blossom, because it includes... Yeah, so she should be able to negate it regardless of whether you can special summon or not. So we need to do some more work. Oh boy. Well, we're gonna have to use the table, which is a bit unfortunate, but it can't be helped. I just remembered Neko Valley exists. So that's another thing. Because if Neko Valley is on the board, you cannot special summon. Now, it's not gonna work properly now, but I'm just gonna showcase it. That is going to let me special summon, even though Neko Valley is on the board. Yeah, that's because we need to add a check down here, over here, or rather over here. Let me copy paste the whole name because it's kind of long. Neko Valley filter. Here. So now it should work properly with Neko Valley. Let's run a quick test. And I cannot, it doesn't prompt me at all, because what this does basically is it checks based on the filter, but it also takes into account whether Neko Valley is on the field or not. Right, so... Right, we need to do this. Let me see how it's written real quick. Yeah, like this. Oops. Fuck. I knocked the cable out accidentally. Okay, so we don't need the Ash Blossom table. So this kind of sucks, but there's no choice for this kind of card. This is basically how Ghost Bale is hard coded to be able to negate this kind of effect. because this card has the potential of special summoning from the graveyard, but it's not certain that it will. Because it's not certain that it will, you don't put any operation info. If you check Monster Bone here, we're gonna see it says category special summon G, which G is the card you targeted. So in the case of Master Bone, Ghostbell can see, oh, you're special summoning the target in the graveyard, so I can negate this. But in the case of Snake Lily, because it's not certain that it's gonna special summon, you don't put the operation info. You still put the category, but the category by itself is not enough to say whether it special summons from the graveyard or not. So we need to do this, which is a bit ugly, but it works. So if I activate now, I can chain Ghostbell, even though I couldn't have possibly special summoned, because Ghostbell doesn't care if the effect would special summon, like Solemn Warning says. Ghostbell says that the effect needs to include special summoning from the graveyard, and the effect of Snake Lily includes special summon from the graveyard, so Ghostbell should be able to negate it. Right, so did we miss anything else? Did we miss anything else? Hidden messages here. Put special summon info graveyard. Select from the deck, mill it. Right, if it's in the graveyard, if it ends up in the graveyard rather. Get all the reptiles in your graveyard with different names. Check that there's at least 5 of them. If there's 5 of them and you have room and there's something special summon and the player says yes, break, which is the to differentiate the timing, like I said. Special summon hint, select what you want to special summon. This is probably a bit redundant, but whatever, I'm just gonna leave it there for good measure, because it shouldn't reach this point if Neko Valley is up, but well, might as well just put it there, why not? Just to be safe. Right, select one. ETP is being passed, I didn't forget it. And then if the selection was made, it's just a safety check. Special summon it, face up, looks good. Now let me make sure ETP is being passed, ETP is being passed. This filter does not take any other parameters, so we don't care. Okay. I think we are actually done. Yeah, this didn't take that long. Only almost 30 minutes. I had forgotten about Ghostbell. Good thing I remembered it, because I was talking about. I mentioned. What did I mention? I mentioned Explosion, and then I remembered. Oh wait, Ghostbell needs to negate this, right? We need the Ghostbell table. Okay. Okay. So we are done. So I'm going to end the stream now, and I'll probably add the card in the game, in the servers, and within the next, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. So yeah, I'm gonna go do that now. Thanks for watching. Since this was a pretty simple effect, relatively speaking, like it's Foolish Burial plus Monster Bone combined, pretty much. I thought I would do it. It's not exactly a tutorial, but it's more of a tutorial-ish, educational kind of explaining more things about the scripts and whatnot. I didn't go into too much detail, but since it was a very simple effect, I want to show that you can take like 99% of the code from other cards and create this card, basically. And we just had to tweak a few things here and there to make sure everything works correctly according to rulings. Yeah. So anyway, right, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and peace.